Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. For today's episode, we've got an FA Cup final special for you here. But first, we'll just go through what's been going on since the last episode. If you missed it, you should definitely check out. It was the game here against West Ham, where Mata scored all 4 goals. Incredible performance from him, really, and that actually got him the majority of his goals from this season. I think in total he scored 16. 4 of those came in that game, so that's quite the performance. But anyways. Since then, we've carried on the disappointing form, I guess you could say, since, the last 2 episodes, basically, where this mess happened all the way here, basically. But yeah, we are in the FA Cup final. We didn't manage to win the league, as, we weren't expected to. We did manage to beat Watford 3-0 through Juan Mata and a Anthony Martial brace. A bit of a comfortable game, this game. We did dominate most of the stats, and yeah, as you can tell, just a bunch of half chances really. But we made the most of them, and then we ended 3-0. Comfortable, great, perfect win. But what followed was a disappointing draw to Arsenal. They played for the draw. I know the stats don't show it, but if you watch the performance, it was they definitely statistically beat us. I guess you could say they had more clear-cut chances or half chances, but in terms of how they set up and how they played, it was really defensive, and you could see why, because they earned a draw here, and Chelsea lost their game, and therefore they won the title. So really poor draw here. If we beat them, we had more of had the chance of stopping them from winning the title as well as closing up the gap. Instead, we only drew, and what followed that was also worse, which is the 1-1 draw against Wolves. My players didn't look like they cared about this game, just because of what happened in the previous game. But we did okay, I guess you could say. I mean, we didn't have much to play for, and we secured Champions League football here in a 4-0 win against Sunderland. In terms of how the season went overall, though, we are worse off than we were last season. We're in third. Last season, we managed second. Chelsea managing to beat us there with 1 point. In terms of how we ended up last season, we were in second with less points, so as you can tell, Lee's getting a bit more competitive here. Top 4 completely different quality to the rest of the table, but if you look over here in last season's one, it was much more closer overall in the table. But in terms of the top teams pulling away, they are starting to pull away, but everyone's had the possibility of winning this basically until Arsenal managed. I mean, look, even the champions ones lost 7 times. They only managed to win because we drew 1 too many times. We drew 7 times, they drew twice. Even Chelsea, they lost a game more, but they just managed to draw less. So if you look at the games that we lost, Southampton, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Leicester are really losses that we shouldn't be we basically shouldn't lose against these teams, essentially. If you look at Arsenal's losses, most of them are against top teams. So 4 out of the 7 that they lost were against top teams. It was City, United, Tottenham and Chelsea. Away game to Stoke is a bit difficult, and the other losses against small teams were away games, so you can understand. But for us, we had some strange losses, like the 2-0 loss to Southampton at home, and even the 1-0 loss against Leicester at home. So it's a bit disappointing. The draws are not too nice either. I mean, Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City you can make exception of, but Wolves, Sunderland, Southampton and Derby are just games we shouldn't really be drawing. But drawing, you can understand, sometimes the team doesn't perform up to standards, sometimes the other team performs better, but a loss is really what cost us ultimately. And yeah, in terms of update for what's going on in this game, we've got a number of injuries here. Terrible time to concede some injuries. We've got Jones, Rojo, Luke Shaw, Verratti and Wilson all injured. I mean, Verratti is suspended for the game. But yeah, just some heavy injuries here. I mean, Jones and Shaw are first team players, and Rojo was playing really well with Jones, so he was playing more. And so we're forced to play with the backup who's not even ready for Premier Division football. He's only a championship player. And Smalling's just completely not fit whatsoever, and we don't have a backup to Anthony Martial if anything happens. We have only Dimitri Mitchell, who's one of our youngsters, and to be honest, not really that good quality-wise. But we will be playing with a lineup that you can see here. We'll get into today's game in just a second. I have a bit of an update in terms of our debts and loans. So our balance overall is 100 million. Obviously, this, the sponsors and the money that we made this season hasn't really kicked in yet. But we have managed to get rid of about 170 million of our debt, so that's quite good. I mean, we won't actually be over until a couple of years' time from now, but we got rid of quite a bit of it, and it looks like we can pay 60 million of it, so we're not doing too badly financially. In terms of the transfer budget, it's set to increase. and even turnovers set to increase. So I think we'll be alright as a team. Financial status says rich. But yeah, we'll start today's game with these players here: Darmian, Smalling, Bailly, and Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. Blind and Pogba in midfield. Blind's only playing because Verratti's injured, basically. Well, actually suspended, sorry. Mkhitaryan, Januzaj, Rashford and Martial will complete their lineup. All of them majority in form. Only the players that are coming in aren't really in form or fit. Bit of a disappointing thing to happen considering it's the FA Cup final, and we are playing at Wembley, if I'm not mistaken. I would consider City the favourites just because of their stronger lineup. City always manage to build huge star-studded teams whenever you play them in the FA Cup, like not even FA Cup, just in Football Manager in general. The expert thinks City will beat us because of the absence of Rojo, Jones and Luke Shaw. I wouldn't say he's wrong, but the odds put us as favourites. And let's have a look at City's lineup here. So you can see star-studded: Aguero, Griezmann. Brandt is probably an amazing player by now. He's 23 years old. My scout says he's a quality player, and as you can see, he's a leading player for most Premier League teams. Where we can possibly target them, I guess, is the fullback positions, but everywhere else they're pretty strong in. They are playing the anti-formation to us, but we need to get revenge, basically, and that's exactly what I'm going to tell my players here. And that does seem to motivate them, but we need to see that motivation on the pitch. As you can tell here, Anthony Martial's come up really big for us. He scored 41 goals overall in 43 starts. So that's just incredible, really. He's managing a number of double digits in assists as well. Martial and Rashford really carrying the majority of the weight in terms of goals, and that's exactly what I expect from them. And they're young though, so they'll have some games where they're not as consistent as other games, but eventually this faith that we put in the youngsters will pay off. Anthony Martial's getting into the age where he's more consistent than he isn't, because he's 23 years old, and you can tell that just by the amount of goals he scored. And Smalling will be the captain for today's game because Jones is absent. We're coming up to 10 minutes now, and it looks like the game seems pretty even. Borthwick-Jackson's managed an early booking, which is not pleasant. I don't really have anyone on the bench for him. Darmian, I think, can switch to left-back position. But yeah, not a highlight to show yet, and I guess that's both teams playing it a bit safe, I think. Maybe we're missing something that the highlights isn't showing, but now both our fullbacks are booked, and it looks like Brandt is going to score from this free kick, and that's just incredible goal, really. We spoke about him before the game, and he's managed to punish us here, and City having the majority of the chances in terms of shots, and we've managed to equal the possessions. For some reason, whoever was in the wall there, I think that was Januzaj, just moves his head when Brandt takes that shot, and that eventually comes back to haunt us. We're going to get the ball here through this highlight. Hopefully we don't lose it in City counter, but it looks like we might build something special here a little bit. Pogba finds Martial, who takes up position of Januzaj for some reason. Martial does well to find Mkhitaryan. He can put it in the box. Instead, no, he loses it to Golam. We've talked about the fullbacks being their weakness, but it looks like our fullback positions are a bit of a weakness too. And Aguero is running at all our players here and almost scores an incredible goal, but instead it just flops completely. We are going to get the goal kick, and it looks like there's going to be another highlight immediately. Blind picks up the ball to play in his centre midfield partner. Rashford is going to bring the ball forward. Couldn't find Martial, but Januzaj is running all the way, and he also fails to find Rashford, and it looks like this highlight might go City's way too, but Blind manages to win the ball back well there. Pogba finds Januzaj, finds Mkhitaryan. Can he do something special here? No, the answer is no. That was just poor, and Smalling's header away is probably even more poor, and Aguero is going to bring the ball forward for his team here, and whenever Aguero has a ball, he just looks incredibly dangerous, and he almost scored an incredible solo goal again. He just goes on these darting, mazy sort of runs, and Griezmann looks like he's going to score another free kick, but instead it actually gets saved, and Darmian does really well to deal with the ball there. It looked like we were going to concede too, and as we get into the break, City are the better team of the half by far. I don't think a single highlight has gone our way, so let's tell our players off a little bit, see if we can get a response. It looks like they're a little bit low on confidence. Even though morale is good, it looks like they've just been affected by what's going on this season, how it's ended. I'm going to switch everyone to be a bit more attacking just to see whether that would help. I think that might backfire a little bit. but we just need to take a risk here. I think it would have been better if I switched everyone to support duties, but we really can't afford wasting any more time. There's a second half here, and City just outplaying us completely, and we'll need to do better against this star-studded lineup. Gundogan's playing for City. Pogba wins the ball well there, and Martial's going to bring it. Well, I said he was going to bring it forward, but he fails to find Mkhitaryan, and that's a bit disappointing considering he's gotten 14 assists so far this season. We're going to get a chance through his set piece here, and Bailly scores a goal. Apparently, it's an own goal, apparently, but we'll take it. You know, we'll get a clearer chance here through the replay. Not quite sure what happened. I think he just hits it. Wow. Okay, that's just incredible. I don't know what happened there, but I don't even know who that player is, to be honest. I talked about... Oh, okay, so City have gone full attacking here. 3 strikers in Griezmann, Aguero, and Jota. I'm gonna have to play narrower, but I think I have to play my players in a bit... My fullbacks. Just tell them to drop a little bit, because I don't think it makes sense to have them both running up. It looks like City are going to have a chance immediately, and it looks like I should have switched my fullbacks to playing a bit more conservatively. But Bailly wins the ball well there, and this highlight might actually go our way. Rashford's got the ball. Can he do something special? He's managed 20 plus goals in this season, and Januzaj does well to find Mkhitaryan. Can he find his fullback? Instead he finds the other left flank fullback in Borthwick Jackson, and he loses the ball, and immediately City hit us on the counter, and they look more dangerous than ever with 3 strikers up top. But again, we just deal with it again, so we're not too bad. Januzaj is going to do well to find Martial. If he can find Rashford, that will do well, and Rashford finds Pogba. Finds Mkhitaryan. God knows why Pogba didn't just bang that into the corner, but we do look good on the counter, and I'm tempted to play on the counter now just because of that highlight. But we'll keep things as is for now. And Januzaj just incredibly poor there. We're losing the ball in really crucial areas. Both Jackson does well to win the ball there without getting a second yellow, but we do look quite fragile at the back, so I'm going to switch them around to support duties. Tempted to switch them to fullback, but we'll keep them as is and see if we can have an effect in the final third. The ball is with us, so we do have a chance of converting this highlight into something special. Instead, Pogba for some reason decides to have that shot there rather than the shot earlier, and but Smalling shuts down the danger well. He plays a horrible ball to Pogba though, and Goretzka almost scored City's second. It's 1-1 FA Cup final, and we're being outplayed, but we did have the only clear-cut chance of the game. De Gea does well to deal with the corner there. We're going to come up to 60 minutes now, sorry. So we could make some changes. Smalling's got a terrible rating for some reason. It's probably got to do with his fitness, but we don't really have any backup centre-backs on the bench. We do have a youngster here in Tyrell Warren. A couple of our players haven't played so well, so we're going to take off Januzaj for Mata, who's definitely going to have a better impact. And we'll save the rest of our changes for later. I'm quite tempted to switch Darmian to left back and bring on Mario Fernandes just because of how effective he is as a fullback. Hopefully that decision won't backfire, and Darmian will perform the same at left back as he has at right back. Borthwick Jackson's not really ready for these type of games. I was hoping to see a good performance despite that. Martial wins the ball back well there in this after a strange bit of play from Otamendi, and we do well to win the ball. Look at this, just 3 strikers all trying to get in behind. I mean, it'd be incredible if they don't score a second against us. We're doing quite decently defensively, but yeah, just as you saw there, Rashford does well to win that back, and that's the type of performance we want to see. We can expose them when their fullbacks go up, and that's exactly what well, I guess I spoke too soon. I was going to say that's exactly what we're going to do here, because Mkhitaryan looked incredible. We look so good on the counter. I'm so tempted to play counter football and pass into space. Pogba's a bit tired, but he's also doing well, so I'll just bring on Herrera as a defensive midfielder, well, deep line playmaker on defend duty basically. I'll tell you what, we'll play on the counter. Let's see what happens. Apparently we need to adjust mentalities. I'm trying to see what my assistant thinks I should adjust it to. Why is that not shown? Let me adjust mentalities. Alright, I guess I don't know what's going on, but we'll play on the counter and see what will happen. Hopefully this highlight goes our way, not City's. And Rashford has the ball now, but no one to play it to. God knows what he's doing there. I guess fair enough, he didn't have anywhere to clear it to, but I'm a bit worried about that little feedback from my assistant. He's talking about space between our defense and midfield is far too big and can be exploited. And I think that has to do with Herrera being on a support duty. He needs to drop a bit more. Let's see what we can do here with 5 minutes left to the game. You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm just going to go full out attack just like City have. I'm going to switch everything round again. Hopefully this doesn't backfire. I just want to win this game before it goes into extra time. My players can't afford it fitness wise. Maybe we can win the game in the last minute. We'll see what happens here. I don't want this to go to penalties either. We're not the best penalty takers. But yeah, it is the end of 90 minutes. I'm going to tell my players I'm pleased with their performance in the second half to keep it up. Hopefully that gives them enough motivation. There's no point in telling them off again now, even though they haven't performed incredibly well. But we have managed to turn the stats in our favour a little bit. We had 2 clear-cut chances. So we have outplayed them in the second half. Just not doing quite enough, and I'm still staying attacking, hoping it will help us. And it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a highlight here just before the first half of extra times played. I think the only reason why the space between our midfield and defense is being exploited is because they're playing 3 strikers. So yeah, I'm going to exploit the right flank and the left flank. Let's look for the overlap. They're only playing with 1 wide man. I'm tempted to pass into space and run at defense as well. I think I've added too many instructions there, but let's see if it helps the players or not. I don't think we're passing into space as often as we could be doing, just because we seem so much more dangerous when we play on the counter. And let's see if we can do anything here. I'm going to give them a bit more of encouragement. And I'm not looking forward to this being turned into penalties. But yeah. I'm not sure what's going to happen now. Let's see. 10 minutes left of extra time. A little bit more, obviously. That's just an incredible ball, and it looks like City are going to capitalize on this. Thankfully, they didn't. Honestly, I'm just as confused as you guys. But yeah, that didn't count as a clear-cut chance for some reason. But Mkhitaryan finds Mata. You just have to put a good ball into the box. But instead, Gundogan gets away with what I would say is a bit of a weird tackle, and Griezmann brings the ball forward. De Gea does well to deal with it. Suddenly we don't look as good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch everything around again. Probably tinkering a bit too much, but I think I'll leave pass into space and run at the defense. But I do want to change the duties round. And let's see what happens here. We're getting towards the end of the second half of extra time. So there's no need to go all out crazy. We need to try and hold on to, you know, a draw here just to maybe beat them on penalties. They look a bit more dangerous now. We look more dangerous on the counter, so we'll hopefully play to our strength in that sense. But it is City who bring the ball forward here, and Aguero does really well to play a ball back to Griezmann, and they are going to put a ball into the box, but instead it amounts to nothing. Thankfully, well, thank God for that basically, but yeah, just running down the clock, I suppose. We did try the all-out attack approach, but that didn't really work. And the match will go to penalties. You guys are going to get a bit of a spectacle here, basically. Mata will be the first penalty taker. Marshall, second. Rashford, third. Herrera. After that, Pogba, and then Mkhitaryan. And I'm not sure whether it matters who takes it from now onwards. His finishing is poor though, so play Darmian, Smalling. I just like goalkeepers going last. We're going to get a nice little treat here with an FA Cup final penalties. Obviously, I would not prefer this. De Gea is world class though, and he saves that. That's incredible. That puts us in a strong position from the start. They've only got Hart, who's not as good as De Gea, but God, I thought he saved that for a second, but Mata does well to tuck it in, and it's Stones for some reason taking the penalty, and he shows exactly why he should be taking the penalty. Good penalty to the bottom corner, not like his previous teammate, but Marshall will get the chance to make it 2 for us, and he makes no mistakes. God knows what Hart's doing there. 3D can act up sometimes and look a bit weird, but it's a good penalty nonetheless, and Aguero is going to be their 3rd penalty taker, and as you'd expect, makes no mistake. It's 2-2 now, but we have the penalty in hand advantage, and Rashford's going to be the one to take that. And Rashford fails, and now suddenly our advantage is gone, and it is Gundogan for City, and he tucks it into the bottom corner as well. Aguero, De Gea having a bit of a tough time reaching the bottom corners for some reason, and it is Herrera who can hopefully even this up for us, and instead he doesn't. Joe Hart denies him. It looks a bit like that went in. I'm not really sure what's going on. De Gea needs to save this to keep us in it, and he doesn't, but it hits the crossbar and we're still in this. If we score this, we equalise. If we don't, it's curtains. And Pogba makes no mistake, and this penalty thing's just going to go on for a while now, it seems. Griezmann hopefully will miss. He does no such thing. Top corner. De Gea stood no chance. Since he first saved that penalty, he hasn't saved anything yet. And Mkhitaryan can hopefully... yeah, he scores his. No doubt. Mkhitaryan's just an incredible player. Get a bit old though. 30 years old. Let's see how long he can stay on. De Gea saves that. That's it. All we have to do now is just score ours through Mario Fernandes of all players. The sub who we brought on, and the sub who failed us. And now we're back to square one with Williams taking City's penalty. De Gea saves that too. So now it's our chance to win it through Bailly. Now, Bailly, can you do it? Can you do something special? Yes, he can. And we have won the FA Cup final game. We will win the trophy as well. Of course, not really sure why I said that. But yeah, at least we won a trophy this season. Not a perfect season so far, and I'll be looking to make a lot of changes into the squad just because of how we performed. I thought by 3rd year we'll hit in our top gear, but we haven't really managed that. So we'll be looking to make a few changes, but we have managed to win a trophy nonetheless. And I'm not sure how many times has that made us win it, if that even makes any sense. We definitely are ahead of Arsenal in terms of how many times we won the competition. So I want to see, yeah, there you go, we won it 14 times. 2017 under my leadership, and 2019, so not too bad. Overall, not an awful season. Yeah, 3 times in 4 years pretty much tells its own story. I think that'll be all for today. In terms of when we'll be back though, it'll be for the new season for sure. Probably the Community Shield game as well. Possibly show you my team winning another trophy, but if not, let's see what goes on. Plenty of action gonna happen during the summer transfer window, I think, but you never really know. Overall, not a bad way to end the season, but yeah, that'll be all for today. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button as well as subscribe, and thank you guys for watching.